Hello, guys? Welcome to Stock Talk with Nico Criticos. Today, me and Chris are going to do some stock analysis for Nvidia here, and we're going to be talking about our projections as well as if we were buying the stock and why we are buying the stock. So, Nvidia fell a little bit more today, fell down to 103 a share. I have a small position in this right now just because I feel like in case it does fall more, I'm going to pick up some more shares. But with that being said, I still think the valuation is in an attractive spot right now. So for me, I think that with the growth they've been doing and with what analysts have them doing, 56% revenue growth this year, 23% next year, $4.5 EPS expected this year. I think this stock could easily be $150 by the end of the year. If you look at the history of the P ratio, you can see right now it has not been this cheap since 2019. And even though their growth has been much higher these past 5 years, I think with the growth they're still going to do over the next couple years, I think we're looking at 30 times earnings easily. So I do want to get Chris's opinion on this. He has lots of articles here that he writes that you could follow. And Chris, I'm going to let you share your screen and share your charts.
Yeah, so I'd say I've got a pretty decent size of Nvidia here. And I actually just started loading up more recently. I got in probably at about $50 a share, but recently started loading up more. So one of my favorite charts here, just for looking at kind of when I want to enter a stock, is right here. So this shows Nvidia's high prices for the last 4 years, the low prices. And essentially, what I'm looking at is when was the absolute low purchase of Nvidia in each of the last 4 years? What was the PE ratio being paid? And that usually was between, let's say, 12 to about 30 times earnings. Um, if we take a median, it's 23 times. Right now, Nvidia is trading at 24 times. So it kind of shows me that Nvidia is trading at like ballpark lowest it usually trades at. And if we kind of flip to the other side of the coin here, uh, based in the last 4 years, Nvidia typically trades as high as 40 to 90 times earnings. Um, and then even if we just kind of get back to this 42 times earnings number, that's going to represent about 70% increase from today. And that would be for this year's valuation. So kind of reasonable to assume based on this that we could get up to maybe 170 to $200.
Mhm. Yeah, I think so what would be the P ratios? Yeah, let's see. Average 10-year PE, average 5-year
Yeah.
PE.
Yeah. So on average, the last 10 years, it's at 29 times. And obviously the company is in the spotlight now a lot more. So if you look at maybe a more relevant average, 36 times. And I mean, you take 36 times 450 for this year's earnings, you're looking at 162.
Hmm.
Stock's trading at about around $100 right now. Easy
Hmm.
math, 60% gain for very short turnaround.
Yep. Yeah, I think the as far as risk to reward goes, I think this is a super attractive one. And I'm still in, other tech stocks, other chip companies like AMD and stuff, but I still think that AMD has some room to make some money there, even though it is a $2.5 trillion company. I still think this year there's money to be made. Um,
Yeah, and
and
Nvidia.
Yeah, and I also think that even with the tariff situation and all this stuff around, you know, can Trump crash the economy or there's people talking about recession and stuff out there. I don't think it's realistic. I think this is going to be a short-lived thing. And I think within a couple months, I think we're going to see the market start taking off again. So
And
I
then
think,
also with a lot of these stocks, the tech stocks, you're banking on okay, future growth, future execution. Nvidia's a little bit of an anomaly here because the company is executed. They already did execute. They're generating
mhm,
significant cash already. They're profitable. I mean, we're just looking at their profit margins, it's like 50% range.
that's right.
So when you're talking about paying, 24 times earnings for a stock in this situation, I mean, it's just it seems like the risk reward is definitely in your favor here.
And look at that ratio. $43 billion of cash, 8.5 billion in debt. And then we're looking at these last couple years, return on capital of 90%. That's insane. There's no
Well, yeah,
company.
yeah. So then, yeah, and when we're even considering that, like the balance sheet of the company is like A plus,
Hmm.
one chart that I was just looking at was debt makes up 10% of their capital structure. It's not like it's flipped where debt is 90% or something. If there's any concerns there, like even in a downturn, the company is going to be able uh, to stay afloat very easily.
Yeah, I mean, let's say Nvidia was to go downhill. See, I don't know. I feel like they're gonna grow earnings, but I'm just picturing what if AMD and what if these other companies take market share away because I don't know if it's realistic to think Nvidia is going to be the number one player, and just have the majority of the market share for the long term.
Yeah,
So I think if it was to go down a little bit, and let's say they lose some market share or they're not as efficient as a business anymore, I think then that PE ratio, what was the like? Let's see, where's the valuation? Let's go this one. So the PE ratio. That's not a good reference point, but like, see, even when things got really bad in 22, it dipped down to 37 times earnings, which is insane. Now, see, this is only
yeah,
factoring
and it's
in,
probably trailing PE ratios here.
yeah, and see, now this one's different. This one says 50 times. So the bottom line is, as this Nvidia is a growing company, and as this valuation goes down, you're paying less for the company, and so I think that takes a lot of risk out of it because now even if they don't grow as much, you're getting it at a much cheaper price though. So it's still like again the risk to reward is pretty attractive here. Um, my yeah, but my even though I mean I'm buying the stock, I'm bullish, but I still am hesitant on what are the threats to this company. Like, is this gonna can a company like AMD take a lot of their market share? That's the only thing that's in the
Yeah.
back of my mind.
I
But
mean, there's just so many like good backstops though, just for the fact that they aren't levered to any like, significant degree. Um,
mhm.
they're able to return a lot of capital to shareholders. They're buying back their shares. They kind of been bumping up their dividend just recently, which is probably going to gradually increase in the coming years as the company matures a little bit more. Uh, but yeah, I mean, even just like think like 450 a share already today, you're paying 24 times earnings. Um, Even if it doesn't do anything crazy from here, you're still gonna be okay. It's not like it's gonna be a bubble stock, like
Right.
some other tech stock. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Um, See, and it's stuff like this too that you got to look out for. 46% of its revenue came from just four customers. See, so let's say one of these companies makes their own chips or they use AMD or they switch to some other company. That could be a huge, that could be tens of billions of dollars that's gone from Nvidia. So it's just things like that to look out for. But the bottom line is I think it's an attractive stock and an attractive valuation. So
Yeah, and then I mean, yeah, if you want to see more details too about what I was diving into, you could check out the article that I
yeah.
posted on my Substack, and that really just digs into the weeds on the valuation and why it's such an attractive valuation. Um, and then I also give a trade idea there too, which kind of highlights the returns that you can make on Nvidia, similar to what I've already done uh, with this stock. So I'd recommend looking at that too if you're
Hmm.
interested.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's all we got for today. So hopefully we can do this again in the future. And next week we will have a new analysis for a new stock.
Yeah, it's good talking to you, Nico.
All right. See you guys later.